Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you probably already know that I am in the middle. Actually, I'm nearing the tail end, getting close to the tail end of my deep dive into the Lenormand system. The system that was originally created in Germany under the name of the Game of Hope when translated into English, and then became the Lenormand deck when the name of Madame Lenormand was added to it for export into France, and it's that name that has stuck and has become world famous, right? It's a very well-known deck around the globe. I can get Lenormand decks here in Korea. And so that's why I'm here doing this deep dive into this system. And it's fascinating. I hope you're getting some help or some entertainment, at least, out of this deep dive with me as well. And friends, I've got a spread already laid out for us. It looks like it's going to be a good one. It looks like it's going to be a helpful and a supportive one as well. So stay tuned for that. And before I show you that spread for this week, I'd like to thank you first. I'd like to thank you for doing all of those things that you do, for hitting the thumbs up button, for subscribing. Those things help YouTube know to share our videos, share our community with other people, and they find us and they join sometimes, and that's a wonderful thing. So thank you for doing those things. Also, when you comment below, that also helps both me, because I love hearing your comments, I love seeing your comments, and it helps grow the community. So you are helping us be us, and thank you. And just in case you're curious, if you want a private reading from me, at the end of the video there will be a QR code and also the web address for my online tarot shop. And you can go over there, take a look at what I have to offer, order a reading for yourself, for a friend, for a family member, for a loved one, for your worst enemy, anyone you want to order a reading for. I'm here for you. So thank you. And so, friends, like I said, we have a great spread laid out here. What we're going to do is I will first show you the spread. I will talk about the cards, what deck I'm using, and just in case you're new here, what the spread is. And then I will show you the spread again, and we'll start reading it together in several different ways. Are you all ready, friends? Well, strap in. Here is the spread. Friends, what do you think of those cards? They're from a wonderful deck by Robert M. Place. It's called the Ukiyo-e Lenormand, and it's based on a traditional Japanese style of art called ukiyo-e, and that is translated into the floating world. It's a beautiful art style, it's a beautiful tradition, and I think Robert M. Place used it beautifully to create this deck. Now, let me just tell you, the deck is available, so I'll put a link in the description box if you want to go get the deck yourself. But the cards are a little on the biggish side for me, for Lenormand. Yeah? It's great for this kind of a spread, but if I wanted to lay out a full grand tableau with all 36 cards, it would be a little big for me to work with on the surfaces that I have to work with cards on. So, for me, for smaller spreads like this, and yes, this is a smaller spread, it works out fine. Yeah, it's again a lovely deck, wonderful art style, very interesting to the eye. Yes, colors are beautiful. It's gilt, it has gilt and edges, so that's a nice little touch, and it comes in a great box. Now, speaking of boxes, the spread. Just in case you are new here, I call this a 9-card spread. It's not only mine, it's a very traditional spread. It's a very common spread for Lenormand. I call it a 9-card spread. It's also called a box spread or a window frame spread. And it can be used in several ways. The most common way to use this spread is to choose a significator card. Yeah? For example, if the person you're reading for presents as a man, You choose the man card. If the person you're reading for, the seeker, presents as a woman, you might choose the woman card. If the question is about work, I might choose the anchor card. Some people might choose the fox card. If it's about love, you could choose the heart card, for example. So what you would do is you choose the significator, whether it's for the person you're reading or the topic, and then you'd shuffle that card into the deck. And when you were ready, you would look for the card in the deck, and the first 4 cards before the card, the significator card, would be the top of the spread, and the 4 cards after that would be the bottom of the spread, and you'd lay it out and start reading, right? I did not do that. I let the deck present the significator card for us. So I just laid the spread out from the upper left-hand corner to the lower right. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the significator card came out as you see. A very good significator card. Are you ready? Are you ready to start reading the spread together with me? Well, friends, if you are, here we go. Let me show you the spread once more, and we will start reading. Here it is. Friends, you saw from the upper left-hand corner we had the bouquet, the clover, and then the cross. Not such a happy card, yes? And then in the center row we had from left to right the crossroads, the stars, and then the man. Speaking of man. And then in the lower right left-hand corner we had the tower. Now, don't be scared. The tower in Lenormand, just in case you're new to Lenormand, is not a scary card. It's actually a pretty positive card, a neutral card. And then we had the fish and the rider. So, if you know me, you know I like to get a general feel for the characteristic or the quality of the spread. So if we look at positivity, negativity, yeah, or neutrality, the bouquet is positive, the clover is positive, and the cross is, of course, negative, but then we're still +1 positive, right? And then in the central row, we have the stars are neutral. I'm sorry, the stars are positive, and the crossroads and the man are both neutral. So we're +1 positive. So we're up 2. Positive, right? And then in the lower row, we have a neutral tower, a positive neutral fish card, and then a rider as being positive. So we're up 3 positive and 1 positive neutral. So we've got a very positive spread here. Looking at the playing cards, however, what do we see? We have 3 hearts, which are the most positive. For me, the clubs are the most negative, and so we've only got 1 club, right? So that cuts out, so we got 2 hearts being the most positive. We have 1, 2 diamonds, which are middling positive, and we have 2 spades, which are, for me, middling negative, so those cancel each other out. So we're still up 2 positive for the spread. So either way you read it, there's a positive spin. There's a very positive flow to the spread, right? And we start off in the center, the significator card being the stars. Now, if you're a tarot reader, the stars card in the Lenormand is a little bit different from the star card in tarot. I would read the star card in tarot pointing in the direction of, now I'm not saying I only read with keywords, but the direction for the star card for me would be healing, would be recovery, it would be hope in that direction, yes? For me, the star card in Lenormand is a little different. Yeah, for me, the star card in Lenormand, let me show you this one, being our significator. The star card, what is a star? It's something up in the sky, right? It's a little light in the sky, but it's what we used in the past to navigate, to find our direction, right? We think of, even still, we say, find your North Star, right? To say, find your direction, what guides you in life. Yes, and remember when this deck was created in the 18th century, early 18th century, People were still guiding themselves by the stars. We didn't have GPS at the time by any means. So our GPS was the stars. Also, stars not only are navigation, but they're for divination, right? We have astrology. The constellations help give us information about the future, about what's happening now. So we have all of those things wrapped up in this star card. We've got fortunes, good fortunes, perhaps even destiny. We have guidance and prophecy. We also have finding our direction, right? We wish on stars as well. So dreams coming true are possible, which is different from hope. But dreams coming true, wishes being granted. For some people, the star card is also spirituality and psychic energy. I can kind of understand that, but I don't see that so much here. Being the star. You can also be the star. We want to remember that modern culture can be added to the Lenormand readings as well. Yeah, so being the star is also possible. Having your star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, right? Being the star of the show. Now, you see what do you see here? It's interesting. No, it's not interesting. It's not important. So we have the star shining through the clouds. You get clarity, right? So what is the spread about? The spread is about our fortunes, clarity, positive fortunes, clarity, finding our direction. It's about destiny and perhaps even guidance from the stars. What kind of guidance are we getting? Now, we use the upper left-hand corner card to help modify our significator card to get the central message, yes? And that is the bouquet. We saw this last week. The bouquet, what is it? It's a tastefully and artistically arranged grouping of flowers. Yes? And what do we use these bouquets for? We use these bouquets to give as a thank you gift or as a celebratory gift. Yes, happy birthday, happy anniversary, happy Valentine's Day. We use them to congratulate winners of sports events even. Yeah, they get the medal and sometimes they get a bouquet of flowers. We use them to gain entrance into places. Yes, sometimes when we are invited to a home or we come at the time of this deck's creation, when men would go courting with women to get entrée, to get an entrance into the home, they would sometimes bring bouquets of flowers. So the flowers could be an invitation, it could be a way to get into somebody's life. Sometimes bouquets of flowers also come with a with a request of a promise. Yeah, I give you this in order to get something from you, to get entrance to your home, to get a favor from you, to get interest from you, like I'm interested in you, not interest on a deposit or on some kind of dividend, but getting somebody's interest. So yeah, the bouquet is positive, but it can sometimes come with a little bit of baggage. Sometimes, not always. So what does the bouquet mean for us? It means good fortune. So combined with the star card, yeah, fortunate guidance, fortunate prophecy, fortunate dreams coming true, right? There's happiness here. When people receive flowers, scientists have found the overwhelming majority of people, when they receive flowers, they smile. Flowers elicit smiles on both men and women. Yeah? So, happiness, right? Pleasure. Also the gift of good fortune. Good fortune and destiny and prophecy and guidance that is fortunate, that is a gift, that is charming perhaps even. Beautiful and graceful. Now, the bouquet can also be big luck, not the little luck of the clover, but big luck for some people. So we've got a lot of good fortune in this spread, right? Looking at just those two cards. So maybe we should just stop there. So, and maybe that should be the title of this spread, Good Fortune. Yeah? So how are we going to read this spread? Next step. The next step, we're going to look at the progression from past to future. We'll look at the columns. So the left-hand column would be the past, the central is the present, the right-hand column is the future. So what is our past? The past starts out with the bouquet card. The bouquet card, again, good fortune, happiness, maybe even invitations. Yeah? We might have been invited to hang out with friends as a very casual way, or maybe there's a more, a grander invitation, perhaps to some sort of festivity or a banquet or something that we have come from, or maybe it could be something like an invitation to a job interview. So if you've had some kind of invitation in the recent past, that's what this card is pointed towards. Yes? And this card is pointed towards that invitation. Could be fortunate, could be a happy invitation. That brings us to what kind of invitation? An invitation that demands crossroads. Crossroads, remember? Paths that diverge. So this is the card of choices. We have to pick one. And it's not picking one for the future, it's picking one in the now. It's an immediate choice. It's something that has to happen immediately, yes? So decisions, now. Now this card moves to the garden, but this week we don't have the garden card here. So we've got choices. And interestingly, because this is on the left-hand side of the spread, there was nothing on this side of the crossroads card. So the only thing that we see as one of two choices is the star card on, let's see, for you that would be here, would be on this side. So we have one clear visible choice, which is that star card, which is good fortune, choosing guidance, choosing destiny. We don't see what is over here. I could have chosen another card. I did not. That was the decision I made. Yeah? Because I wanted to maintain the 9-card spread. If I were reading for somebody else, I might have pulled another card. But because I'm reading for the collective, I thought, well, we know one choice that we had, and that's a good choice. So let's go there. But it's an immediate choice. It's an invitation that leads to choices. Yes? And that brings us to the tower in the past. So we've come from an invitation that calls from us making a choice, and maybe the choice is towards guidance and destiny and good fortune. And maybe that's the direction we chose, hopefully. Yeah? And that leads to what? The tower. Now, like I said, the tower is not the same as the tower in Tarot, which is about shattering things, breaking open. This tower you can see is intact, right? What is a tower? Think of the tower on the hill. It's used to protect, to guard, right? People go up to the tower to see around, to see enemies coming, for example, but also to see the lay of the land. We use towers to put people in isolation. Think of Rapunzel, for example, or think of prison towers, right? The Bastille. Yeah, we put people away. We lock people away in towers as well. Towers are also where bells are rung, right? The bell tower. So we get ideas of solitude. We get taking stepping away from the crowd. Yes? Also institutions, maybe a company, maybe a college, the ivory tower of a university, yes? Being alone, right? And almost unattainable. Now, you can see there's a possibility here of that choice that we've made coming from the invitation could be one that leads us towards more isolation, more solitude. But it could be one, if it were an invitation to an interview, maybe it was an interview for for a company, for a university even, or for some large institution. It could be a government institution as well. So if you had that kind of invitation to an interview, good on you, and that's what we're talking about for you. Reading for the general through me, it doesn't seem to be leading towards institution, but rather maybe towards taking a step back, isolating. Not isolating like COVID isolation, but stepping back from the busyness of life. Yeah, so that's where we were in the past. In the present, we start off with, and this is a clover card. However, this clover card looks very different. This is not a typical clover that we would see in the West. This is more a clover for Japan. But what is clover? Clover is small. It's a small green plant. Green could be money. Now, little money, think of little fortune, little bits of good luck, right? Think of the four-leaf clover from the Irish tradition with leprechauns and four-leaf clovers and little bits of good luck. We can also think of clover as being a little bit invasive. Yeah, they're small, they're delicate, they don't last long, but they always grow back, right? They always grow back. So there's a little bit of invasiveness. There's a cycle of it, right? It's little bits of good luck, good fortune, of small, tender greenness, of green healthiness that keeps coming back and keeps coming back and keeps coming back. So the clover for us is what? Again, it's small, everyday luck. It's happiness. It's hope and optimism, right? It could be synchronicities for some people. It could be small money. It can be blessings, small best blessings, small omens, odds being in our favor, right? And that leads us to the star card. So we've got this little good luck, little fortune, healthy, little money, yeah, that is fortunate. And that is, I think that right now in the present moment, our bits of good luck and our happiness, they are increased and they are expanded by the star card below it. Does that make sense? So the present moment of luck, good fortune is expanded to good fortune by the star card in the center. And maybe our dreams might be coming true bit by bit by bit by bit by bit in a larger, expanding way. Yes? Which leads us to what? It leads us to the fish card. And what is the fish card? The fish card is abundance. If we think of the time of the Lenormand's creation, we remember that at the time, a ship could go out to sea, drop in a net, and pull up a crap load of fish very easily. So it's not like a farmer goes out and plants seeds and has to wait months and months and months for a return. The fish goes out, drops a net, and bang, there's money, right? Whether it's money as in something to be traded for cash or money as in it's food to be eaten directly. Yeah? So the fish is money, it's resources, it's abundance. And the fish also live in water, so there's an idea of flow, of movement. Also emotions and soul can be added to the idea of the fish. You see the guy sitting, holding the fish on the rod. That is Ebisu, which is a lucky god of fishermen and the mercantile and money. So this is a god for good fortune, lucky, money, finances. So this rise of good fortune is bringing us abundance, is bringing us maybe some cash money. But there's also a flow of good fortune for us coming into our lives right now, in the present, which is wonderful. Yeah, we've got the King of Diamonds here. Now, this King of Diamonds could actually be a person, which would be a business person, an entrepreneur, perhaps an employer. Maybe our good luck and good fortune is coming from our employers or some business person in our circles. If that's true for you, fabulous. Not necessarily true for me, I don't think. But I do see that flow of abundance and good fortune in the present. And what is that leading us to? What's coming in our future? What's coming in our future is the cross. Remember, the cross for a Christian society, which is where the Lenormand was created, the cross in a Christian society is that of burden and heartbreak and perhaps even torture and death, but the Lenormand doesn't really go that far. It's the idea of burden, something to be carried, something heavy, a load. Think of, if you are Christian, you would recall the story of Jesus having to carry the cross through Jerusalem to Golgotha, where he was crucified, right? So that idea of burden, also fate and destiny. Now, Jesus was born to die, to resurrect and be the Christ. So there's a spiritual meaning to the cross as well. I mean, we could be moving into a spiritual time of our lives. But when we read the cross, we also read it directionally. Yeah? The cross here, there is nothing on the right side, which would be something strengthened or something enhanced. And there's nothing on top, which would be something lifted up or raised up or supported. What we have are things below right now, which are things that are pushed down, which are burdened. And things to the left, which are stopped, period. Yeah? So the burden is resting on us. Because remember, I am reading this spread through me for you. So whether you're in a male body, you're in a female body, a transgender body, a cis body, an intersex body, a non-binary viewed body, we're all reading this deck through the eyes of the man card. Does that make sense? I'm not calling you a man. I'm not calling you male. I'm saying that this is the significator card for all of us because I'm reading for all of us through me. Right? Okay, so what's sitting on our heads is the cross. We are burdened in the future. We are burdened down. By what? We're burdened down by this rider card, which was in a better place in previous spreads, but now we're burdened down by the rider, which is what? Remember, this is the time when we did not really have a really strongly, well, we didn't have the internet, but we didn't even have a really good, strong, consistent telegraph system yet. It was just beginning. So, mail information was delivered by mail. And we have the idea of the letter, which is something that takes a long time to get there, but short messages that we want to get there quickly were brought by writers, right? Rather than the postal system. So we've got this idea of a writer, somebody who brings in news. So it could be the news. It could be the something jumping up into our lives, like somebody on a horse, boo, jumping up into our lives. It could be the messages brought by the horseman, or horsewoman, or horse person. It could also be the person themselves. And generally we think of the writer in this card as being male. So a young man, a youthful, athletic person. So maybe there's a youthful, athletic person in your life who is the source of burdens for you. If so, I'm sorry. Something we're going to have to deal with. It could, but for me, I think that we're talking more about burdensome news, burdensome messages popping up into our lives in the near future. So something to keep an eye out for and prepared for, that the burden doesn't overwhelm us. In contrast to the good fortune we're going to be feeling in this coming week, the next step might be a little burdensome with news coming in. Does that make sense? So well prepared is what is that called? How do we say that? Forewarned is forearmed. But I don't think we have to arm ourselves. I think we just want to know that, okay, there's going to be news that I could receive as burdensome, but now that I know that I have that potential, maybe I'm open to receiving it and I'm prepared to take it as it is, rather than feeling the burden of it, right? If I know that I have the potential to be burdened by this news, maybe I can prepare my heart for that whatever comes, I can handle. I can build up my reserves of, I can handle it. Everything is okay. Yes? Does that make sense? Can you see how that would work for you? Now we're going to read the spread in another way. We're going to read the rows, which means that the top row is what's on our mind. The central row is what we're experiencing in the world. And then the lower row is what's happening under the surface, right? What's bubbling underneath. So let's start from the mind. What's going on in our head space? And what's going on in our head space, we start with the bouquet card. So we've got invitations perhaps, but good fortune and maybe gifts. Maybe we've got a little bit of a burden with that gift, possible, but the next card is the clover card, right? So this good fortune, the invitations perhaps, or our appreciation of beauty and grace is fortunate. It's lucky. It brings happiness. Remember with the clover card. Maybe we discover synchronicities through that appreciation of beauty, through that good fortune being lucky, and maybe there's money involved in that for you. If it's money involved for you, blessings on you, and I'm happy for you. But we might be a little bit concerned that have you ever felt like things start going well? You start feeling this good luck springing up in your life, and you think, this can't last. This cannot last. That's what I'm getting from this cross card here, is that the good luck, good fortune, maybe even a little bit of cash money is springing up into our lives. Beautiful invitations and happiness are sparkling in our lives, and we see them and we think, this is too good to last, right? That's what I see here with the cross card being at the end, is we're already preparing for things not going well. How can that help us in living an intentional life? Remember, the question I ask every week is, how can we live life more intentionally? Well, one way we can live our lives more intentionally, I think, in this spread is to be aware of the trap that we might be setting for ourselves. And we'll get to that again a little later on in this video. What do I mean by that? Hopefully I'll tell you. What's going on for us in the world around us is we start off with choices, right? And we can choose the next card, right? We have the possibility, the opportunity to choose good fortune, to choose guidance, and to choose the direction of our lives. Right? Especially because that leads us to be ourselves in the real world. So this isn't just an imaginary choosing of destiny in a very conceptual way. It is the choosing of our path in the day-to-day world for ourselves. Because again, we are all this guy right now in this spread. But what's going on below the surface? What's going on below the surface is that from up above, from our solitude, in the quiet places of ourselves. Yeah? From the quiet places of ourselves. Perhaps it could be, no, I don't think so. Because we're looking below, right? We're looking at what's going on under the surface. Do you work in an institution? Do you work, and when I say institution, I don't necessarily mean like a mental institution, a psych ward or anything like that. What I mean is, do you work for some kind of an institution like a university or even a library or a branch of the government or a religious institution even? Yeah, a religious institution. Do you work for some kind of institution? If you do, then maybe what's going on below the surface is that that institution is the source of, or it's a place of abundance for us right now. A place of money, a place of resources. Could be. It could also be that our solitude and our alone time, our me time, is our source of resources and abundance. If you are or you know an introvert in your life, you'll know that you will probably understand that a little bit more. Now that our alone time, our time of quiet and removal from the activity of life is a source of our abundance and a source of our inner resources, right? Which might be the source of messages coming up for us. Maybe we're also getting messages from within, indications, signs, what we're feeling, what we are thinking, what we want to do, the direction we want to go in. We might be getting those indications from within. If we allow ourselves some alone time and feel the flow of our own inner resources and abundance in that quiet, separated space, then we could get some messages from within. That kind of makes sense to me. Does it make sense to you? Okay, friends. This is interesting, right? We've got this idea of hope, and we've got the idea, not of hope, but of good fortune, finding our direction, our guidance, that brings happiness, that brings resources and abundance, and also brings a little bit of worry about the future. But we know that if we look within and we allow ourselves that time to step back and take some quiet time, we can find our flow of inner abundance and resources that can also bring with them messages and clues about the direction we want to go in. Yes? And maybe flow around that idea of burden. Let's see if we can find some evidence for that. So, what am I going to do? I'm going to show you the spread once more. I'll show you the spread. We'll look at the corners, we'll look at the diamond, and we might do a little bit of either knighting or mirroring. We'll see. So, let me show you the spread once more and take a look. Get a refresher. Here it is. So friends, let's first look at the corners, yes? And the first pairing of corners comes from the bouquet and the rider. And that crosses through the stars, right? It crosses through our good fortune, our guidance, our destiny even. So, because we're looking at the bouquet and the rider, we're getting some perhaps messages of invitations, that's possible. But also, we get fortunate news coming up in our life, right? Good fortune is brought by the messenger. Happiness is brought by the messenger. Gifts are brought by the messenger. We're getting some good stuff, perhaps, now. And that could be an explanation of the luck of the clover in the upper center card. Yeah? We're getting some good stuff coming into us. Quick messages, maybe. And it could be just the fortune of the message, but the message could bring other kinds of fortune. Right? But then the next pairing of cards is the cross and the tower. So, while our isolation, our solitude, could be the source of abundance and messages, it could also be a source of burden. So we've got that idea of our burden, the burden of isolating ourselves, of taking a step back. Or do we see the spiritual? The spiritual. Yeah, that makes more sense. If in our isolation we can reach for the spiritual, I think we're going to find our guidance. So, for some of us, the isolation, the taking a step back might be burdensome, but if we can transform that, if we can transmute that into a more spiritual practice, I think that will help us in this week. Yeah? Stepping back, alone time, used for the purpose of spiritual development will be beneficial for us at this time. Yeah? Why? Well, because our clover and this is the diamond, yes? Our happiness, our synchronicities, our experience of synchronicities, and our bits of good luck that are sparkling and springing up in our lives are the results of our choices. So we want to make good choices. We want to choose good fortune. We want to choose direction. We want to choose guidance. So that is what is going to be the source of our happiness and our good luck and our good fortune, right? And below or on the other side of that, our abundance. We are abundant. We are our own resource, right? Because this is describing the man card. The fish card is describing the man card. So we are our own resource. We are our own abundance. We are the source of we are the font of our flow of fortune. Can you see that? Yeah, our luck. We are the font of our own luck. And if we find direction and we can take that time alone, that abundance will naturally flow from within us. Yes, that makes sense? Rather than going out and searching for it in the environment, that abundance can flow from within us. Now, are you curious about that clover card? I am. So the clover card, what is that? The clover card mirrors the knight card. I'm sorry, not the knight card. The knight card. There is no knight card. The clover card mirrors the fish card. So there's an abundance of little bits of luck. There's an abundance of money, perhaps, appearing for us. There's an abundance of even hope and optimism available to us. And if we look at the knighting from the clover card, we see that it knights to, remember, knighting means you can either go over one and down two, or up two, or you can go over two and down one. Now, for the position of this card in this spread, the only direction we can go is over one and down two, which brings the rider and the tower together. So these two cards are helping us to understand the clover card, right? So our bits of luck, our happiness, our perhaps bits of money, but also our hope and our optimism, I think, come from our taking a step back and giving ourselves some alone time and the messages that we will receive from within. Yeah, things popping up when we give ourselves space to be alone. And those things popping up as we give ourselves space to be alone are the source of our good luck, our good fortune, our happiness, our hope, and our optimism. Does that spread make sense to you? So we've got a good week coming here, but there's a trick, there's a caveat, there's a trap. Not a trap from the outside, but a trap from the inside. We're talking about our direction, what are we talking about? We're talking about perhaps our dreams coming true. We're talking about finding the way we want to go. We're talking about our guidance from within, perhaps. Maybe some guidance from other people, but guidance from within. And from that guidance, we feel this, I keep saying, sparkling bits of fortune, of perhaps a little bit of money, but of happiness and optimism. And have you ever felt when that sparkly, bright, shiny experience of perhaps small but enticing good fortune and optimism starts sparkling around you? You start thinking, this is too good to last. There's something coming. This is not going to end well, maybe even. You start anticipating when this all collapses. When we want to live our lives intentionally, that is one of the greatest pitfalls or traps we can fall into. And it's not a trap or a pitfall that somebody else has dug out there and we stumble into blindly. It's something that we create for ourselves, by ourselves. And there's a way around that, isn't there? Because we're the ones doing it. It's all us. It is all us. We can follow this path of good fortune, of optimism, of dreams coming true, or that feeling of guidance. Or we can put up our own cross, our own burden to block our way. Which do you habitually choose? Which is your habitual modus operandi? How do you handle things when things start going well? Are you one of the people like I am, who starts anticipating things going wrong in the very near future? Is that the way to live our lives intentionally? Well, you might be thinking, well, I've got to prepare. I got to prepare for when things turn south, when things go south, right? And sure, we want to be prepared. We want to have a stable foundation to be working on, sure. But that's different from being prepared for everything going south and creating that experience in the near future for ourselves. Yes? So what do? When we start feeling that sense of this is too good to last, what do you do? Do you start preparing for the end of the good stuff, or do you find a way to let that thought flow past you as a leaf on a river? Are you able to acknowledge that that thought is nothing more than a thought? It has no more import for you, for me, for us, than that leaf flowing on the river. It can go away. If we don't catch it and hold on to it, we can allow it to flow past. That's what meditation, that's one of the benefits of meditation, right? One of the benefits of meditation is that we're able to allow these thoughts to flow past us during meditation and after some practice during our day-to-day lives. That reminds us of the tower, right? Taking a step back, taking some time of removal from interaction with other people. It's a little bit of solitude. Maybe that's what that tower is there to remind us of. That meditation is going to be the source of our abundance and good messages coming up for us. So, how are you going to handle the little bits and little sparkles of good luck and good fortune and hope and optimism that might be available for us, around us? How are you going to handle that? Are you going to enjoy it? Not while it lasts, but enjoy it as it is? Or are you going to start worrying about when it's going to stop? When the ride is over? Which is the best way? Which is the way for living a life intentionally? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. How do you handle those thoughts of this can't last? How do you handle that? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And friends, here we are. Thank you for joining me on this journey through this spread. And remember, in just a moment, my online tarot shop QR code and website address will pop up for you to either scan or enter into your computer, and you can hop on over to my shop. Okay? And friends, now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.